Good evening, everyone. I would like to bring the May 18th, 2026 board meeting of the Bucks County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors to order. Could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Stand up. So if you're able to, go ahead and stand up now.
Wait.
Then you take your right hand, put it over your heart. Now we say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, nicely done.
Very nice. And that was from our intensive autistic support class at the Bucks IU at Pearl Buck, which I believe we were in that classroom last week, weren't we, Dr. Hoffman?
Yeah, you've been to that room several times,
Yes,
sir. Yeah.
and it was a great visit there, and it was great to have Meg Bloom's class give the pledge tonight. It's a great thing. Okay, Michelle, could you give us a roll call for attendance, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. D'Angelo,
I'm here.
Mr. Hollowell,
I am here.
Mr. Morgan, Ms. Sheehan, Ms. Stern,
Here.
Mr. Waldorf,
Present.
Ms. Winters,
Here.
Mr. Wers, Ms. Walbeezer,
Here.
Mr. Godikson,
Present.
Ms. Foley,
Present.
Mr. Reimers,
Here.
Ms. Khan.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum with 11.
All right. Okay. Let's there was no executive session, so that item is off the agenda. And item 2, public participation, comments for agenda items only. Karen? We do not have any. Okay, so that is off. And let's move on to our consent agenda. And that will include items 4A through 8L. So if you get a chance to look, or you have looked at it, or if anyone has looked at it, does anyone have any need to have an item pulled, a request to pull an item, or voted on separately? Is there any need for that?
Just wanted to announce that I will abstain from 4A since I was not present.
Okay, please make that note.
Doesn't have to be pulled. Can't be part of the consent agenda, or he's abstaining for the whole thing.
He's gonna
Just
abstain from,
4A.
Mr. Godikson, you are just letting us know you're going to vote abstain
Abstain from 4A.
for items 4A because you were not here.
Correct.
Mr. Waldorf, I think we could have that vote making that, Michelle can make that note in the minutes.
everything okay, Josh? You good with that?
Again, I don't think it's Robert rules, but whatever. I don't really care. It's not that important.
Okay. So what do you want?
Rebecca, we can't turn your mic on.
I'm sorry. As long as it's known that you are abstaining from item 4A, then we're good. We're good.
Thank you.
And Mr. Waldorf, however, it's in your right, or it's Mr. Godikson's right to pull that item and vote on it separately if you so choose. It's also fine to just let it be known that Mr. Godikson's vote on item 4A, which are the minutes of last month's meeting, he's abstaining from because he was not here.
I'm okay with
Can you use your mic, sir? Just helps people on Zoom.
I'm okay with moving forward, being a part of the consent agenda.
Okay, if there's no objection, we'll
I
just,
have no objection. I have a question, though. Are we allowed to abstain if we are not there?
You don't have to abstain on any item. It's whatever you feel comfortable with, but you do not have to abstain. You're able to vote on the minutes as a replica of the meeting, but you also have the privilege of abstaining if you so choose.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if there are no items to be pulled or voted on separately, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, item 4A through 8L?
So move, Liz Sheehan.
I'll
Thank-
second, Mr. Reimers.
Okay, in a second. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any dissensions? Any abstentions?
Only 4A.
So please make the minutes read that Mr. Gullikson has for abstaining on item 4A. And he is a yes on everything else.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we can move on to our presentations and mini reports. And I think our first one is from Dr. Holler on the Bucks County Foundation to support the Bucks IU Fab Lab.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And I'd like to invite up to the podium Dr. Lindsay Rutherford, who will do the honors of some recognition. I came prepared so I don't stutter my way through this. Good evening. On behalf of the Bucks IU and our Fab Lab team, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Martino family, to Paul and Arthie, for their incredibly generous $25,000 donation to our Fab Lab programs. The board accepted the donation at last month's board meeting, and tonight we're able to recognize Paul and Arthie in person. The support is much more than a financial contribution. It's an investment in creativity, innovation, and opportunity for students across Bucks County. Because of their partnership, we're able to continue expanding STEAM learning experiences that inspire students to design, build, problem solve, and explore future career pathways in meaningful ways. Paul and Arthie, we are deeply appreciative of your belief in our mission and your commitment to supporting our Fab Lab programs. Please join me in thanking them for their generosity and their partnership.
And Paul Martino, Arthie, my wife. Part of the reason that we are here, always nice to get an honor, make no mistake, but we are here so that everybody can hear what an outstanding executive you have in Dr. Lindsay Sides. The reason that this money goes as far as it does is because of her great leadership. She reminds me of our best Silicon Valley CEOs I work with in my day job. We are very fortunate to have her, and we look forward to continuing to support the program. Thank you.
Would you like to, Dr. Hoffman and Mr. D'Angelo, if you'd like to come up, maybe we can do a nice picture of the backdrop here, if you don't mind. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's-
Peter, can you take it to the info?
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. Rachel?
I'm ready for the next one. So this is item number 9B. It's our programs and services mini report. You'll find a copy for those of you in person here in your folder, and it's also online on the agenda on item 9B.
So this is a time of year when we usually recap the year when it comes to our student events. These are those one-time or, kind of different competition events that we have the pleasure of hosting across the county. So I'm not going to go through all the details for each of the student events, but an interesting fun fact is that if you looked at all of the events in total, we actually supported and engaged with 5,350 students this year. So between the Reading Olympics, which is our biggest event from a numbers perspective, we had 4,000 students compete in one of the Reading Olympics events throughout the county. But in addition, we have all the other events that are highlighted here, from our Bucks County Student Forum, where we serve a number of high school juniors and seniors, to our Bucks IU Student Art Gallery, which we celebrated earlier a couple months ago, to our Chief Science Officers program that we help and facilitate, as well as we had several STEAM competitions, from the Invention Convention, which was a new one this year, the Keystone Competition, the PA Media and Design Competition, and finally the STEM Design Challenge, where that was our second biggest in terms of over 1,000 students. About 1,150 students competed in that event. So we really have the pleasure of seeing many students come through and engage in these events. It's usually a busy spring for our team from that perspective of having and hosting those various events, but a really rewarding one, because we know how much it means to many students to compete and represent their schools as a part of these fun and engaging events throughout the county. So that's just a quick summary of what you see in your mini report, and I'll certainly be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
You say for the, excuse me, does anyone else have a question? Anybody on the phone? I just come back to me with the number of kids that were in that,
So all total, because
Reading
we kind of tallied up the numbers and in part to support Allison in her budget presentation. And when I thought this is good knowledge to be able to share. So it's 5,350 students across all of those student events.
that's really impressive. And
Yeah.
again, for the Reading Olympics, it's, what do they say? Reading is fundamental, right? If you
Sure
can
is.
read and to focus on it. And I know a lot of our districts are refocusing. I don't know if you saw the recent statistics. I think it was from Stanford University. And they said that all across the nation, kids are behind from where they were before COVID. So the question is, that you might expect that, right? Because COVID kind of knocked everybody off their track. But even now, 5 years later, 4 years later, we still haven't recovered to pre-COVID levels. So something like this is the only thing that's going to get us there. So again, the IU has a great hand in promoting these things around the county and getting 5,300 kids. And I would imagine probably elementary school kids mostly.
It's a variety. So some
Okay.
of our events are, the Reading Olympics is all different levels, but
Okay.
the students are it kind of dwindles. So the elementary school, it's tons of students. And then as we get to the middle and high school, a little bit less. But then some of our events are strictly focused on high school, like such as Student Forum and then the Keystone Competition, et cetera.
Dr. Holler, how many students did you say were related to Reading Olympics? exclusively?
4,000 just for Reading Olympics.
So Reading
Mhm.
Olympics is the majority, and then the other 5,350 are,
The total of overall is 5,350. So there's
I just wanted to clarify that
Mhm.
that number was the whole number.
the whole number is all the student events you see in the report, and the 4,000 is specifically for Reading Olympics. Sure.
Reading Olympics is fantastic. My kids have done it many times. It's lovely.
It's a great event. I agree.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Greeny?
Good evening, everyone. In your orange folder, there is a copy of this month's special ed mini report, and it's also in board docs under number 9C. And this evening, we have Dr. Meisler here to talk about the Bucks IU Speech Language Pathology Clinical Fellowship Program. And she will share many of the good things that are happening with our supervisor of speech.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Gina Meisler. I am the Program Director for Related Services, and I am joined tonight by Lisa Penke. Lisa is one of our speech language program supervisors. Our other speech language supervisor, Amy Francic, was very sorry she could not join us tonight, but she's with us in spirit. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about our SLP Clinical Fellowship Program. SLP stands for Speech Language Pathologist. If I could set the stage just for a minute, 5 years ago, coming out of COVID, we were really struggling to hire folks for these positions. And so we had a number of meetings and lots of folks at the table putting their heads together to try to figure out how to solve this problem. And so at that time, we made some really intentional decisions around recruitment and retention. And one of the things that we talked about was how the Bucks IU, one of our greatest strengths is our deep expertise and our culture of support. So how are we going to leverage that to get people in the door and keep them? And one of the ways that we decided to do that in Related Services was to build a comprehensive clinical fellowship program. So what is a clinical fellowship? The American Speech Language Hearing Association, known as ASHA, is the organization that certifies SLPs. When you are a certified SLP, you earn your Cs, your CCC SLP. It's your certification of clinical competence. ASHA requires, in addition to an examination and your master's degree and meeting a lot of other components, that every SLP in their first year complete what is called a clinical fellowship. It's a 9-month period of time during which you are supposed to receive a minimum of 36 hours of supervision from an SLP who has their Cs. That is the minimum requirement for a clinical fellowship. Our goal was to build something that went well beyond that. And I think that we did. So why does this matter? Sorry, guys. Why does this matter? You would think that this is an onboarding tool, and of course it is, but it is also probably our #1 recruitment tool. So when we are sitting at universities with a very small pool of graduate students studying speech language pathology, and there are a very large number of potential employers in the room, how do we set ourselves apart? And this is probably the #1 way that we do that. When you come in for your clinical fellowship year at the Bucks IU, you are getting a very strong and layered system of support that at the end of the year will result in increased confidence in your abilities and hopefully improve retention. What does it look like here? Obviously, we have the structured mentorship. We have an induction week in which we customize the courses for the SLPs. And I think most importantly, we have a cohort model where we bring these folks together 4 times a year for the peer connection. And they have ongoing access to a number of people. So again, minimum requirement is that they have their ASHA designated mentor, which is an SLP with 5 or more years of experience. We also here have an induction mentor built into our induction program. That's a teacher on special assignment. And in this case, this group actually has a induction mentor who is an SLP. We have program coordinators in our Related Services program, 2 of whom are SLPs. We have dedicated speech language supervisors, and again, they have each other. So the goal here is to support them in many different ways that can build their confidence over the course of the year. Oh, my slides are out of order. Sorry about that. So we are wrapping up a clinical fellowship year where it's May, we're at the 9-month mark and our folks are finishing up. We decided to take this opportunity to survey them to learn more about their experience and determine the ways that we could improve on the program. One of the first questions that we asked them was, how did we find you? And the answer to that has to do with our university partnerships and externship opportunities. So if you take a look here, you'll see that the vast majority of folks who are with us in their first year as SLPs got to us in some way through a university. I'll also add that last year in the 24-25 cohort, 75% of those first year SLPs had done a graduate externship with us. We are now approved for the PDE SLP externship stipend, which means that SLP grad students doing an externship with us get a monetary stipend. That has led to a situation where we actually have universities telling us that their students are fighting to do their externship experiences here with us. And again, here they are. Now we're going to recruit them. We don't let them leave without a contract. The quality of the clinical fellowship experience too, we believe has become a major differentiator. So here, I'm going to let Lisa jump in to go through some more of the survey results.
Hello. Oh, thanks. I'm Lisa Penke, as Gina said. So we've invested heavily in university partnerships and nope, sorry. I'm sorry, we're
lined up.
So we were incredibly proud of these results. 100% of fellows rated the experience as either very good or excellent. No fellows rated the experience as good, fair, or poor. That level of satisfaction is a strong reflection of the support system surrounding them. And then, am I in the right? Sorry. Induction week also offers opportunity for relationship building. Many fellows entered the year feeling only somewhat prepared. After induction week, most reported increased preparedness and confidence. Induction week is not just informational, it also creates early professional relationships and peer connections. We intentionally focus on building a strong foundation from day one. I'm in the right. Okay, and I'm going to pass it over to Gina. That's okay.
Okay, passing it back to me. All right. So good news was that 100% of our clinical fellows felt supported in their first year. Again, not just by their clinical fellowship mentor, but also by all of those other individuals who are supporting them. I'm going to click through here. And these are, I don't know why our slides are out of order. I apologize. We also asked them about the cohort model. So I personally think that this is one of the most important aspects of the clinical fellowship program, is that you have a network of each other. We bring them together during induction week and we have lunch and we say things like, hey, give each other your phone numbers, make sure that you know each other, pick a buddy, pick two. I joke with the group every year that when I did my clinical fellowship year with the IU 27 years ago, that we exchanged phone numbers on a piece of paper and we called each other on a telephone and we talked to each other after a difficult IEP meeting or something like that. And sometimes the phone had a cord.
And it was attached to a wall.
Yeah. So we really think that this is a big part of it. There is a great potential for isolation for these clinical fellows. I will share a personal story. My son's girlfriend is an SLP in her second year. She works in a network of skilled nursing facilities in New Jersey. She is the only one that does her job in like a 50-mile radius. And in her first year, in her clinical fellowship year, she was calling me for guidance because she and her mentor met for that minimum 36 hours over the course of the year. And a lot of it happened on Zoom. So having another person is so important. And I don't just mean the other people who are mentoring you. I mean that person who sometimes you need to call and vent to at the end of a hard day. And I believe that this is a big thing that helps us to stand apart. So you can just see some of the quotes on the right from our clinical fellows that just reinforce that. All right, so my slides again are going the wrong way. This is the ratings of the various program components. You can see that the clinical fellows rated every major component of the program as valuable. Mentor support and coordinator coaching were especially strong. Peer connection and cohort learning were also highly valued. Again, tells us we're on the right track with a layered support system. And we also asked them about preparation for independent practice. So obviously our goal is independent, confident clinicians. Our fellows described that they had growing confidence, that they learned how to seek support appropriately, that they were able to manage increasingly complex situations. And one theme we saw repeatedly again was scaffolded independence, strong support early on, and gradually building autonomy over time. And then finally, and most importantly, is the retention impact. When we surveyed them, they all indicated that they intend to stay. And one of the strongest themes throughout that survey on why they intended to stay was, again, the support. So we feel like we're doing it right. We hope that we're doing it right. It is an investment in these professionals who become more confident, more skilled, and then are better able to serve the kids of Bucks County. So these are our clinical fellows wrapping up their year. They are, as of today or in the next week or two, will be fully certified SLPs. We do have 4 of them with us tonight. So as I read their names, I hope they'll stand up if they're here. I think they're feeling a bit shy. Danielle Edelman, Isabel Catapano, Isabel Falguera, Eliana George, Emily Higgins. I don't see standing. Okay, good. Brinley Redard, Alexis Scott, Eliza Stepansky, and Danielle Vos. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you for standing. All right. What questions can we answer for you?
Anyone have any questions on the phone? My question is, what's it look like for the next cohort?
That's a great question.
Do you guys have any friends?
That's usually how the conversation goes. Yep. So we have onboarded this year 10 or 11. Last year, I think it was 12. The year before, it was 9. So we're slowing down a little bit. We have filled some of those holes in staffing. Next year, I believe we're bringing on 3, which will be the smallest number we've done in a while. But then again, you never know. It's early days, and it's quite a while to go till induction week. So maybe we'll have more by then.
Anybody else? Dr. Allen, I just want to say this new class is, I say this all the time to you. I could just tell by looking at you guys that you love what you're doing. And you know what? That's the ultimate prerequisite for any job you do. So we look forward to keeping you guys around for a long time and becoming the senior leaders and the people that are doing the training for the next group of people. So again, thank you from every one of this board members. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Yeah, let's go. There we go.
All right.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, thank you, Rebecca.
All right. Let's move on to our comprehensive annual budget. Allison, take it away.
So item 9D on the agenda is the draft budget. It's our draft budget book that we put together for informational purposes for you to review between now and June, when the item will be added to the agenda for voting. For 55 years, the Bucks County Intermediate Unit has been guided by our mission to compassionately serve the needs of all learners, their families, school districts, and the community. Our mission is always guiding us, as well as the development of our budget. The Bucks IU budget differs from that of your local school districts in a few areas. First, the Bucks IU is not a taxing authority. Revenues are received from a variety of sources to support the services that we offer. Our budget is prepared based on assumptions regarding anticipated funding levels from various state and federal agencies, as well as anticipated contracts and requests from school districts. Many of the grants and subsidies are unknown to us at the time we budget, and once those actual amounts are known, we will present changes to the board during the 26-27 school year. The Bucks IU values our partners and stakeholders, all of whom inform the development of our 35 individual budgets. The Bucks IU supports over 72,000 people throughout the year. Our numbers change throughout the year as we strive to meet the needs of the districts and the community or receive additional grant funding to operate programs. For example, new requests to provide transportation or related services are received daily, and new children are enrolled in the early intervention program throughout the year. This year's annual budget includes 35 individual budgets within the General Fund, Special Revenue Fund, and Capital Projects Fund, totaling over $271 million. This is an increase of about 5.5% over last year's budget. The change reflects stability in some programs with additional growth in other programs to meet the needs and requests of our partners and stakeholders. The largest increases in the budget are related to early intervention, the expansion of school-age programs at Buck, and additional school-age staffing requests from our school districts. The revenue to support the IU programs comes from a variety of sources. Just under half of our revenue comes from local sources, such as school districts, with a similar amount coming from state and federal sources. For 26-27, we are projecting over $86 million in state funding, which includes over $32 million for early intervention, $21 million for transportation, and almost $18 million for PSERS and FICA benefits. Federal revenue of over $37 million includes funding of almost $23 million for IDEA, $6 million for the school-based access program, and almost $6 million for Head Start and Early Head Start. Local funding of $129 million includes $115 million for the purchase of school-age special education services. The remaining local revenue includes the purchase of services in areas such as programs and services and technology services. The individual budgets have been summarized and show a comparison to the 25-26 budget that was developed at this time last year. The individual programs can be found in the detailed budget document in item 9D starting on page 32. Across the non-public, other, and federal programs, budgets were built with the expectation that funding will remain relatively flat. Any changes to these assumptions will be brought to the board for approval during the year. Major budgets in this area include Act 89 for non-public students, IDEA, Head Start, and pre-K counts. In the Special Revenue Fund, we are anticipating changes associated with fluctuations in service levels to students. The requests for school-age special education services remain strong. During this school year, we opened classrooms at Pearl S. Buck and increased service levels until the building reached full capacity. In 26-27, the budget reflects operating at full capacity for the full year. In addition, ESY services will also be expanded in 26-27 to include programming at Buck. We've seen a lot of growth in services in 25-26 that is budgeted to be maintained next year. In the current year, Bucks County School Districts requested $3.6 million more in tuition-based programs than they originally contracted for this year. Demand from the districts to provide one-to-one paraeducators is almost double the original district contracts. This is an increase from 50 to 94 at an increased cost of about $3 million. Related service requests from districts have also been greater than contracts in the current year. As one example, an additional 8.8 speech language pathologists have been requested in the current year, over and above the amounts that were requested in district contracts. In early intervention, funding from the state has increased to support growth in the number of students and services required in the program. Over a 5-year period, the number of students served in early intervention has increased by over 40%. Over the past few years, we've seen significant growth in transportation services. For the 3-year period ending 24-25, the number of daily trips almost doubled. We plan for sustained growth in 25-26, but the number of trips has decreased slightly, which is projected into 26-27 and reflecting a decreased budget. In summary, we are budgeting our programs based on anticipated funding and service levels in our programs in order to meet requested services. Attached to the agenda is the comprehensive budget, as I mentioned, and it looks like this. As a reminder, the budget is based on assumptions around the anticipated funding levels and requested services, and any revisions needed based on actual levels will be brought to the board during the 26-27 year. Any questions or comments I can answer for you?
Anyone have any questions? Just for information, we had gone over, many of the board members on the finance team had gone over this with Allison. So many of us have asked many questions, but if there's anyone who wasn't at the meeting, if you have any questions or concerns.
What were some of the questions that were asked in the committee meeting?
One of them was explain how we have to, like we were budgeting for 50 one-on-one aides for the various districts. And during the course of the school year, they called us and said, no, more. And we ended up supplying 94. And so that means that the IU has to go out and find 44 qualified aides and get them into the districts and do that. And I think that's a great question because it really demonstrates the complexity around how Allison and the IU do our budget versus how the local school districts do their budget. We are responsive to the needs of districts that have the luxury of being able to say, well, we got to spend another $1 million. We'll tax the tax, or we'll raise our taxes. We'll do something. Whereas with Allison and Dr. Hoffman and the entire team here, they're responding to needs, often desperate needs, if I may add a little flair to it, and that it just demonstrates that we keep growing. And yet when you look at that, one of the other questions was, well, why did the transportation kind of go down? Because we had responded previously to these needs, and then sometimes the districts will say, well, we're going to do this ourselves, or we don't need, or maybe the student moves. So again, it's just, Allison, you and your team to be able to budget without having any taxing authority, all based on agreements with the local school districts, and to be able to turn on a dime like you do, that's just a great testament to working for this place. That's why all those young ladies are so happy, because we can do stuff like that. So
Just one other point I'll make. It's
Yeah.
not just the local school districts that contribute. Allison had that pie graph that shows that it's not just local school district contributions. It's a little less than half, but the intermediate is also funded through state and federal sources. Early interventions budget, we did get an increase in our annual allotment for next year. So you'll see an increase in the budget. That's a result of additional dollars from Harrisburg to support, as Allison mentioned, the 40% increase we've seen in the last several years, as well as Head Start, IDEA, and other funding sources that fund the organization that are not necessarily derivative or directly related to school district contributions or school district costs or contracts for service.
Question from my side is really in regards to how does the oil crisis, impact transportation and the budget?
It's a very good question. So one of the things that we do here at the IU is we conduct a fuel bid. So we do a fuel bid for gasoline and diesel, and we also do a propane bid. The propane bid that we had conducted last year was a bid that we could extend into next year. So we were actually able to extend the propane bid and offer propane prices in 26-27 that are less than what districts paid in 25-26. So that was a real positive for propane.
Allison, when you're talking about this, you're not just talking about the IU's expenditures for propane. You're talking about the consortium of the districts in Bucks County who sort of ride that bid.
Yes, thank you for clarifying. We also, on our gasoline and diesel bid, that was one of the items that you approved this evening. That is a bid that we recently opened, and how that is bid is based on a differential from the marketplace or market price. And the districts have an opportunity to lock in when they see fit. So right now, the districts could lock in, I believe if they locked in now for next year, I believe the regular gasoline price was in the mid twos. Destiny, is that right? 2.7, so $2.70 if districts locked in regular gasoline today for next year. And the diesel amount, I believe, was like $3.40 or so. But the districts have the option to lock in whenever they see fit. So if they feel like there will be an opportunity several months from now that prices will go down, they can lock in then. And the way the pricing is done, as I said, is a differential. So it's just a few pennies off of the market price.
That's one of the examples of the consortiums that we facilitate on behalf of the school districts that you can choose or choose not to participate in.
How do they find the market price?
It is based on the current daily NYMEX, I believe. Is that what it is, Destiny? Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Allison? I'm sorry, I'm on the phone. I don't know if you folks can hear me okay.
Ms. Foley, we hear you just fine.
So what are the impacts and forgive me if you asked this earlier in the finance meeting, I was driving and cutting in and out. So with the state budget, if there's delays in the budget passing, what are the implications for, the IU as it relates to that? I know that eventually a budget passes and eventually we get funding for our programs. But when you're trying to plan for programs that may or may not get allocated funding, what's the short-term and long-term impact on us?
Allison, I might advise you just tell the story what happened this current school year.
Thank you. That's what I was going to do. So last year, if you'll recall, we had a 4.5-month budget impasse. So we were very closely monitoring our cash and our cash position to make sure that we could continue operations. Essentially, we are using cash that might be available from various programs to keep the IU operational. When we saw that the budget impasse was likely to continue beyond a month or two, we went out and got a RAN, which is a revenue anticipation note. It's essentially an opportunity for us to borrow money as needed so that we can continue operations if the state does not approve their budget. We fortunately didn't need to draw on that RAN, but we had issued, I believe it was a $45 million RAN that essentially takes care of 2 months worth of cash flow. So that's typically what we have done in the past when we are anticipating a long state budget impasse.
And I think, Ms. Foley, to your point, one of the things that we communicated that bears repeating, and I think maybe this is perhaps at the spirit of your question, when the state budget impasse prevented state dollars from flowing to the intermediate unit as were owed to us, we were still providing the service that the state was contracting with us to provide. So people were still providing early intervention. We were still providing IDEA and related source programs. We were still providing pre-K counts to the intermediate and to the Chamonix, even though the dollars were locked, let's call it, in Harrisburg. And so people were still working. They're still collecting their paychecks. Kids are still receiving services. The intermediate didn't say, well, we're not getting that money, so we're not going to provide it until we do. And so that created that pressure and the incredible monitoring that had to occur to make sure that we were able to continue to pay people and also continue to serve students, which is why we exist. And so we did have that button to push to draw down on the RAN. And luckily, we didn't need to do that because of the great accounting work that we do and the fiscal responsibility that all program directors and supervisors bring to the oversight of their programs.
Thank you both for the answer, detailed answer.
Yeah, and of course, when we did get the money, the interest that the state earned by keeping everyone's dollars, the state kept.
Well, if there's nothing else, thank you very much.
Thank you.
As a reminder, this will be on the agenda for approval in June. So if you have questions, let us know between meetings.
Okay, time for the executive director's report. Dr. Hoffman?
I'll be brief. I just want to point out that in your orange folders, and then of course on board docs, you have the mini reports. You have the Amazing Project Search Intern of the Month report. You also have the awesome news. You have recent press releases related to the Advocacy Committee and our amazing Apprentice of the Year, Christina, as well as our Brain Steps program receiving recognition for the 3rd straight year. You'll see another press release this week related to the Bucks IU prom, which occurred on May 8th, which is a highlight. Related to highlights, there is the graduation for the Bucks County Intermediate Units class of 2026. So those are students that are graduating from Bucks IU programs somewhere between the ages of 18 and 21 or 22 years old from student from programs representing districts across Bucks County. It's Tuesday, June 2nd. You've received invitations from me, of course, but there is a hard copy invitation if you're able to attend. It is a transformational, just incredible event that all board members I encourage to attend. It's graciously hosted in partnership with University of Delaware Valley. They have a beautiful facility, and it's our pleasure and privilege to be able to partner with them to host such an important, beautiful event in such a beautiful building. I encourage you, when Michelle sends you all of these documents, to either post them in your board docs under your intermediate unit report or ask your board secretary in your school district to do so. It's an easy way to share the word about the amazing things happening at the Bucks County IU through your own board docs system under your intermediate unit report in the coming month. Mr. D, that concludes my report.
Okay, just a reminder of everyone, next Tuesday, please. It's just a great event for many of you have been there. And if you can find the time to attend, it's a life-changing, it's on the 2nd, Tuesday, June 2nd, or yes. I'm sorry, 2 weeks.
Thank you.
But anyway, thank you for that clarification. Also, one other thing, we do have our Project Search dinner that is
Wednesday this week.
This Wednesday. And
I'll send a reminder to the board as well.
yes, please do. And I believe it's at the Doylestown Country Club.
Yep, I'll give all the details via email.
Yeah, and if you can attend that, that's another great program that it's just wildly successful. It's getting more robust and helping a lot of young men and women get jobs and really transitioning into the next stage of their lives. So if you can, it's a really nice event. Let Dr. Hoffman or Michelle know if you want to go, and I hope to see you there. Okay. Moving on, Rebecca, legislative report. Oh, I'm sorry, there is. Dr. Hoffman, item A, the memorandum regarding intent of appointing officers at the June board meeting.
Yeah, on behalf of Mr. Morgan, as the chair of the nominations committee, the nominations committee has an important job. They convene essentially once a year, and that is, or they discuss the nominations once a year. And action will take place in June. So on behalf of Mr. Morgan, who's not able to attend tonight's meeting, I just wanted to share with you the contents of that memo, which is an information item. The nominating committee members have each independently agreed that they recommend to the full board to approve Mr. D'Angelo and Ms. Sheehan to remain in their roles as president and vice president respectively. As a reminder, the Bucks IU reorganizes its leadership in July rather than in December, similar to your school districts. And so our process for a while now has been to make that known that this is the nomination committee's intention in June, so that any board member wishing to nominate themselves or another board member can do so in advance of June's meeting, so that the board can then take action and decide between any competing nominees or just ratify the recommendation of this committee. So in June, this will move, absent any other nominations, to the agenda for action, in which case others that want to be nominated, either themselves or others, can do so, and the board can take a vote. If no other nominations come forward, either of yourself or others, then this would be the slate recommended by the committee.
Okay, thank you. Rebecca?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm here to give the legislative update for May. It is found in your orange folder, and it's also in board docs under item 10B. I'll begin with page 1, which I just gave you the scheduled session days. You will see that there's a flurry of scheduled session days for both the House and the Senate starting on June 1. Both the House and Senate are currently in recess for the remainder of May. They both chambers will return to session on June 1, and the state budget will then become the General Assembly's primary focus. As of today, negotiations are continuing on the budget, but it's still much too early to predict what exactly may make it into the budget and what may not make it into the budget. There is still some discussion. We're hearing that there may not be an omnibus school code bill this year, but it's too early to know for sure. There appears to be, however, consensus from both parties, regardless of who you speak to. There seems to be consensus from both parties to get that budget done sooner rather than later, and a very bipartisan willingness not to have a delayed budget as there was last year. I'll move over to page 2. New law signed by the governor. This is the automated external defibrillators, AEDs at interscholastic activities events. This is also known as Greg Moyer's Law. It has become an act signed by the governor as Act 17 of 2026. I gave you a list on page 2 of all of the sections of the bill that school districts will need to come into compliance with. Most importantly, AEDs need to be present in a readily accessible location at all PIAA sanctioned athletic events and practices. Schools have 3 years from the effective date of the bill, which was May 13th, 2026, to comply. So you have 3 years to comply. Then there's other parts of that, needing to have a rehearsing emergency action plans for cardiac events, requiring you to provide CPR training on site on your campus at least once every 3 years, requiring school entity personnel offices to keep as a part of the personnel file a copy of each employee's CPR certification card. And then there's an amendment to require the School Safety and Security Grant Program overseen by PCCD to devote for the next 5 years from 2025 to 2030 at least 2.5% of the fund's annual appropriations for the purchase of AEDs. So just look at that. There's also an annual report that has to be made to PDE beginning June 30th, 2027. That reports on the number, condition, age, and placement of each AED in each of your school buildings. And then PDE is required to release all that information no later than December 31st, 2027. So that's the big new law that the governor signed. At the bottom of page 2, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these bills because they've only been approved by one chamber, but approved by the House and sent to the Senate. We will see if the Senate acts on these bills in June. The playoff reform for PIAA, that's a bill, House Bill 41, which would establish different playoff titles for boundary and non-boundary schools, meaning essentially a playoff title for public schools and a playoff title for non-public schools. There is a large lobbying effort going through the state right now to encourage the Senate to act on this bill. At the top of page 3, the bullying notification bill that we talked about last month, which would require schools to report within 24 hours anytime a determination has been made that bullying has occurred. That bill was approved by the House on April 29th, and it was sent to the Senate, where it's before the Senate Education Committee. Other bills that we talked about last month that's been now approved by the House and sent to the Senate, increasing student success by assigning more school counselors. The Keystone Exam Alternative Feasibility Study. This bill would allow the ACT or the SAT to serve as an alternative to Keystone exams in literature, algebra 1, and biology. And then finally, there's a recognizing biliteracy bill. This is the bottom of page 3, House Bill 1877. It would allow a seal of biliteracy to be added to a student's diploma if they demonstrate proficiency in English and at least one other world language. So again, that's been passed by the House and it was sent to the Senate. At the top of page 4, you have bills that were approved by the Senate and sent to the House. We can now see this is where the back and forth goes over what would be part of an omnibus school code bill if we have an omnibus school code bill. So if these bills are approved by the other chamber, more than likely they would be in an omnibus school code bill. The first one is Senate Bill 250, which would require every school building to display in a plaque or some other way the Pennsylvania Constitution preamble at the entrance of the school. I listed for you what that preamble says. And in the middle of page 4, the Pennsylvania Department of Education issued 2 new BECs this month. A BEC is a basic education circular. It basically gives you guidance as a school district on various topics. The first one was enrollment of students, and the updated BEC gave changes to the proof of residency section of how schools students register for school and the proof of residency. The important thing this BEC did is it made sure there was uniformity between how you qualify to enroll in a school district as a resident of that district, as well as the cyber charter school enrollment and residency verification form. That cyber charter school form used to have a different definition of residency. So what this BEC did is it married it so there's uniformity throughout. So if you're eligible to be a resident of the school district, it's the same definition for the cyber charter residency form. Over on page 5, there was also a BEC released on school immunizations. This did not change any of the requirements for school immunizations, but what this BEC does is it establishes an FAQ that your school can give to parents to help them better understand the immunization requirements. In the middle of page 5 is the federal updates. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, adopted a new E-rate rule. This new rule establishes a mandatory centralized bidding portal and document repository that goes into effect July 1, 2027. This new rule requires that all E-rate procurement goes through this online bidding portal, and nearly every step of the E-rate bidding for E-rate services now has to go through this mandatory portal. So it's going to change things quite a bit. And again, it becomes effective July 2027. And then finally, over on page 6, the U.S. Department of Agriculture issued a new final rule on whole milk standards. Basically, this rule exempts the fat content of milk from the fat content that you give in school lunches and school breakfast, meaning that schools will now have more flexibility to serve whole milk. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Hallowell, would you care to comment?
Only that it's a long time coming for the milk to be allowed, and I
Yeah.
think it's a good thing.
It provides schools with a lot more flexibility. I know there are several folks that have supported that final rule.
And I would agree with you. It's those type of things. All they do is cost everybody money, and they really don't benefit the kids. So I'm glad that they finally come to their senses, and we can start serving whole milk in the classrooms in those nice little 6-ounce cartons, right? Okay.
Thank you,
So,
Rebecca.
Thank you,
All right.
Rebecca.
Thank you all very much.
All right, moving on. Again, to item 11, we did not have any executive sessions, so we can cross that one off. Item 12, is there any old business that anyone like to bring up or care to discuss, or something that we may have missed that you had on your mind? I know graduation season is coming up, and I hope everything goes well for every district, and it's probably the keynote event for every district is to celebrate that. Moving to item 13, is there any new business?
Mr. D'Angelo, I would like to recognize the passing of Dr. Robert Light. He was a school board member in Quakertown for, I believe, 27 years back in the late 70s through the early 2000s. He then was in our education foundation for probably close to 20 years. He's also a local historian. He was also a teacher in the district. He passed yesterday, I believe. So I just wanted to recognize him.
Mr. Reimers, he also held your seat on the SIU
He
board at
did.
one point.
Yes,
He
he did.
represented Quakertown, I believe, as recently as 2007.
I believe so.
I think he was
wasn't
on the
sure
board
at
that hired
time,
Barry
so-
Galasso. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for that. And again, on a similar note, I just found out as I was coming here to the meeting that Beverly Kalinowski, who was a board member I served with about 10 years ago on the Bristol Borough School Board, she passed away, I think, today. And she was a longtime administrator at Trenton State, I believe it's called the College of New Jersey now. But she served there many years, and I served alongside of her on the board, and she was very, very devoted to really trying to, in a very turbulent time when we were getting funds cut. We had to cut our specials, so in that budget cycle, it was when right around 2001, 2002, and we had to eliminate both of our music teachers, both of our art teachers, and it's kind of ironic because the other night I attended so since then we eliminated the music program, and then we tried to build it back around 2017, and that's no easy task. And I will say I was at our concert the other night at the high school, and we're back. And so I'm sure that somewhere up, she's smiling to know that that program has come back with a vengeance. And I don't know if you're familiar with Bristol. We had a great marching band in the 60s and 70s, and that was totally gone. So I just hoped you would keep her family in her prayers, and notice that Bristol has lost a valued person.
Our condolences to both of you. And in my office, Mr. Reimers, I actually have Dr. Light's book on Quakertown. He literally wrote a multi-volume history of education in Quakertown,
Yes,
back to the
yes.
one-room schoolhouses.
Yes, he has two, and he did actually attend when he was a young man, a one-room schoolhouse in, I believe, Richland Township.
He literally wrote the book on education in Upper Buck. Professor at Lehigh, right?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah.
I think it was Lee.
Right, Dr. Holler? Yeah, yeah. Our condolences to both of you and your boards. Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo. Thank you, Mr. Reimers.
Okay, moving on to item 14. Karen, has anybody come in since I last spoke to you? Okay, so we can cross that item off, and we will just remind everyone that our next meeting is on Tuesday, June 16th. Again, I would hope to see everyone, as many as you can, at the Project Search Dinner on this Wednesday. And I also hope to see as many as you as I can at the graduation on June 2nd at the Delaware Valley College, and I believe it starts at 6:30.
That's right.
Okay, with that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Mr. Hallowell,
And
second
Mr.
by,
Waldorf. Thank you all, and
We
thank
got
you
a
for your
second?
flexibility on a Monday night. We appreciate it. It's an exception. So thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you.